When I was 25 years old, I had the honor of assisting Tony Maserati when he was in London. And in this video, I wanted to share the 4 most important lessons I learned during those weeks and things that really shaped me as a mix engineer and things that might help you too. Something that I loved about working with Tony was that he was so helpful and nice, and he wanted me to take notes and he wanted me to ask questions. And he explained to me that he kind of sees mixing like building a house. So he starts by building the foundation, the rhythm section and all that kind of stuff. And then he puts up the walls, like guitars and keys. And then lastly, the ceiling, anything that goes on top of the mix, vocals and solo instruments. And it's almost like he's very fast at getting the structure up of the building. He gets everything standing firmly. And then he focuses on adding the color and the decorations and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty cool way of mixing, I think. Number 2, the low end, of course. Because that's Tony's sort of triumph card, what he's the best at is the low end. And his low end is always very clean and tight and fat. And what he does is that he sees the low end as a very exclusive area. So he only allows one element into the very lows. If there's a session with many kick drums, for example, he would only allow one of the kick drums to enter that lowest region. And he would choose wisely which one he allows to add to the low end, the subs. And of course, a lot of people filter out the lows when they're mixing, but he was very particular about this, that he would just have one kick drum doing the lows, and the other kick drums doing the sort of region above that, Number 3, and this is not a mixing technique as such, but it was more of a realization that even the best, even Tony has bad days, and even he struggles. Because I saw him being very frustrated at times, and I saw him struggle with mixes and pulling his hair, and that was quite liberating to me to see that the greatest mix engineer in the world is still human and he still struggles sometimes. That even after 20-30 years, it's never going to be 100% easy to mix a song. Every song is a unique challenge, and every song is like a unique puzzle to solve.
Hey, it's Tony.
Something I saw Tony do a lot during these sessions, and I don't know if he's doing this a lot generally, but he was using a lot of chorus effects. And it's a good way to add space and depth to sounds without using reverb. And a plugin that I use a lot is the Dimension D, which is a real hardware from the 80s or 70s, but which is a emulation now. I put a bit of Dimension D as a parallel effect, and then it gives me that depth and that width to that sound. And sometimes I even do that pre-send into a reverb to get more of a thick reverb. And that's also something I saw Tony do during those weeks. And one thing that really surprised me was how lightly he compressed things. Because I had this image of that, all the top mixers were compressing the stereo bus a lot and using a lot of compression. But he was very gentle. And at some point we looked at the stereo bus compressor, and it wasn't doing more than 1.5 decibel gain reduction. And he said, Tom, that's a bit too much. Can you back it off? And then the needle wasn't even moving. Then he was happy. So he was not a big fan of bus compression or stereo bus compression, at least in those days. Like, I don't know how he works today. Welcome to the Studio T-Break community. And I created this community for one purpose only. And that is to connect music creators of all types. Songwriters, producers, musicians, and engineers. And I also wanted to mention that I'll be hosting regular live streams in this community. And it's a good chance for you to get feedback on your work, or you can help other members out, or you can simply enjoy the company of music creators from around the world.